Hi, I'm Jean Hoffman.
And I'm Josh Wallace.
Tonight on The Real Review.
The Mouse House combines computer generation and live location in Dinosaur.
The unscrupulous Sex Pistols shake their yayas in The Filth and the Fury.
Time travel gets a fresh spin in Frequency.
Late-in-life romance moves to a Latin beat in Bossanova.
Ridley Scott brings back the sword and sandal epic in Gladiator.
And for Cuts and Keepers, our favorite rockumentaries.
Tonight on The Real Review.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Summer is upon us, and that means big blockbusters, big lines, hot movie theaters, but you've got air conditioning. But let's see what we've got to start us out with the summer movie season.
Well, just when you thought it was safe to wander back to the Cretaceous period comes an adventurous fantasy about those towering titans of old who are desperately seeking to avoid extinction in Dinosaur.
Oh, we were. I wish we were at your nesting grounds now. All this pushing and shoving about just for a place to sleep. I'm not used to this kind of behavior.
Baleen, you got big feet, just give them a kick.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't possibly. Shoo.
Will you come on, Baleen? You want to get to the nesting grounds alive? Show some backbone.
Hey there.
Ah!
Sorry about that. It's just we overheard you talking, and
Well, my word. Look at her. He doesn't normally warm up to strangers so fast.
What an unfortunate blemish.
Good mud bath will clear those right up.
Excuse me?
he's my grandfather. A couple times removed.
Try a couple of species removed.
Let me quote a Gene Hoffman quote. There are only three things that are important about a film, and that is story, story, and story. I thought this was actually quite audacious because, I've seen the previews for, 9 months?
All right.
Beautiful look and feel. I was just ready to be transported back to this time, but they rest on the laurels of this technological triumph, which it is just that, but oh, I was so bored.
Yes. That's exactly what it was. It is a remarkable technological achievement. Truly, I was truly knocked out by it. But where's the story? It's like Toy Story, okay? A remarkable achievement, but we've got witty dialogue, we've got lots of laughs. It just wasn't here.
But people in this day and age are used to seeing really high production value in a 30-second commercial. You have to take them beyond that. If you're going to try and just saturate people and satisfy them with 30 seconds value and try and stick it out for like an hour and a half.
Which was an hour and a half. And, of course, their excuse can be, well, we're going for the kiddie market. But if you're going for the kiddie market, it cannot be this scary. I mean, there were some scares, and you have some children.
I'm very glad I did not bring my 4-year-old, who was freaked out by an IMAX rocket movie, so he's still trying to get back into films. These dinosaurs are so real, and they eat each other, and the fights are so realistic, and the sound is so horrible that, they'd be blown away.
Well, especially the Carnotaur, which was like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. He's really loud and he's really scary, and when he's on screen, man, it's really intense. It's the kind of blowback Maxell.
Absolutely. I was sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you back to your comment about Toy Story. Now, Pixar is in the Disney fold. Why couldn't they have accessed some of the Disney, the Pixar writing talent, brought them over to Disney for this production?
Or why can't they, when they've spent multi-millions of dollars to build this digital studio, 900 artists, how many countless of zillions of computer hours, can't they earmark some of the money that goes into this for a script? I could have written a better script than this.
So.
Well, you would think so.
Did I say nothing happens in this movie?
Nothing happens. It is sweet, and it's a good message for kids. The guy really is kind to everyone, no matter what the species.
It's not crossover material. There's nothing original about it. I mean, there's the bad, stereotypical villain who doesn't want them to get to the nesting grounds. And you know, when I take a look at a movie after the fact, I sort of blur my eyes and say, you know, what rises to the surface? You know, I'm thinking about doing this show, and all I think about is these dinosaurs trotting across this desert trying to find water, and there's nothing fluid about it.
Well, I think about the score, which I thought was beautiful, and I think about the amazing live-action backgrounds, which was Venezuela, Australia, the Mojave Desert, etc. But that's all I love. But I'm giving it 3 ticket stubs. It's all for the technology. Let me make that clear.
Kudos for technology. I just can't go that high because you've got to have something to support it, so I'm giving it 2. 1977, the Sex Pistols. Anarchy in the UK was a battle cry. Nasal jewelry was actually avant-garde. Julian Temple reflects back on Johnny Rotten, Sid Vicious, and the Sex Pistols in The Filth and the Fury.
John was from a different world, says me and Cookie. He's more of an intellectual, John.
I knew what Steve was. I mean, I knew he had potential to be a great person. There's something in him that's genuine. I could see there's a tragedy in him, just like in me. Deep down inside, they're wounded people. And then there's Glenn, waffling on about nice things like the Beatles. You put all this together, and it makes for high drama. A bit like a Harold Pinter play. It shouldn't work, but it does.
If you could see, oh, God.
Documentaries, we love them. What can I say? This was the most infuriating but entertaining movie ever. Infuriating because the Sex Pistols are infuriating. They're
but you can say,
outspoken
but
and
that shouldn't reflect on the film itself.
It doesn't.
I mean,
but you know,
subject matter.
Yeah, the subject matter was so frustrating. But no, it was very well done. I love this. I thought it was
great. Now there's two types of rockumentaries, and we'll get into this later on when we do Cuts and Keepers. I've seen a bunch of films about the Sex Pistols, the Great Rock and Roll Swindle, and whatnot, that just celebrate that, you know, screw you, that, you know, this whole type of punk ethos. I found this actually very depressing. An in-depth study of the division in the band between Johnny and Sid and Glenn Matlock and
right.
Steve
Plus the times, plus the political scene, plus what was happening in the country at the time. They managed to bring all the elements together and still make it somehow entertaining with different kinds of Shakespeare cut in and B-movies cut in.
A lot of good B-roll.
Footage, and concert footage. Of course, there's not a lot of concert footage. They were together, what, 26 months total?
Right, but it's really cool to see a lot of the stuff that this previously unreleased footage of Sid Vicious.
Oh.
And on that note, this is one of the best anti-drug statements, you know, I've read. I mean, it was John Lydon, Johnny Rotten, who said that the essence of heroin is it is the only drug that absolutely crushes creativity. I thought that was like, what a jewel of a thing to, you know, to have in this movie.
And they make it so obvious how it is crushing not only his creativity, but his relationships and his life and everyone around him. So, yeah, well, see, you are the big Sex Pistols fan. I don't count myself as a longtime Sex Pistols fan, but so if I thought this was great, I'm imagining you were highly entertained.
I was entertained, but I thought it was actually, again, I'm kind of coming from a different angle, that this was like a little sad. I feel like Julian Temple wanted to look back on this and really tell people what it was like and the struggles that were involved in this, because other films and the overall image of the Sex Pistols is that they just barnstormed through the late 70s and they changed everything and they had everything their way, and it wasn't that way. I mean, they had a lot of conflicts within the band.
And they say, you know, I think in the clip, they're not even talented. They don't really even know what they're doing.
That's the element of punk. That's the element of revolution. I mean, what this movement is getting away from is double live albums, you know, and boring, predictable, you know, Southern rock was big then. So this is just shaking it all up, as well as, you know, the economy of the UK at the time.
Yeah, and the whole anarchy thing. I was very pleasantly surprised. I mean, everyone had said wow, 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 but I didn't expect to be wowed, and I am giving it the big 4. Nothing wrong with this movie. I loved it.
Oh, fantastic. I give it 4 as well. Very intelligent.
Okay, we'll be back with 3 more movies: Frequency, Bossanova, and Gladiator. Don't go away.
On June 3rd, nearly 3,000 cyclists will leave San Francisco for Los Angeles. California AIDS Ride 7. A 7-day journey to fight AIDS. You can tap into the excitement and help kick off the journey. Volunteer help is needed in San Francisco Day 0 and Day 1 of the ride. Work with the AIDS Ride staff to ensure a safe and fun ride. Be a part of the biggest AIDS fundraiser ever. California AIDS Ride 7.
An aurora borealis and a ham radio seem an unlikely partnership, but they're key components in this multi-generational murder mystery come time travel thriller called Frequency.
Say your name was?
Frank Sullivan.
Is this some kind of joke? Gordo, is that you or you messing with me?
I ain't messing with you. Look, I'm just trying to
You're
figure
telling
out...
me your name is Frank Sullivan. You live in Queens, and you want to know how I called the first game in the 1969 World Series.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to know.
Gordo, if this is you, so help me. What'd you say?
Gordo.
What'd you say your call station or your call letters were?
W2QYV.
So what we've got here is kind of a weepy guy movie. It's good to see the father-son bond thing, but with a nice twist of Sixth Sense sensibility. There's some weird stuff going on in here.
I was snookered by the trailer. They really plugged this thing for months as a sappy, weepy father-son thing, and it definitely went a different way, and it's sliding doors on testosterone. I was very pleasantly surprised.
I was very pleasantly surprised. I did not get the pre-hype that you did, but I was very pleasantly surprised that after the first hour when I almost gave up on this movie,
oh, did you?
That it turned around and it turned into a funky, fast-paced, wild thriller.
And it makes you think, okay, yeah, you go back 30 years. I mean, he is talking to his father 30 years in the past. He knows what's gone on in those 30 years, so he can change history, okay? And that is a very, remember Time Machine with Rod, what, I can't, no, it was a long time ago, I can't think of it.
But I think the cool thing here is that, you see all these things actually happen. He'll say something, Jim Caviezel, the young guy will say something, and then a picture will change and a person won't be in that picture. So, but initially I thought this kind of started out as a, kind of a Spielberg-esque, schmaltzy thing.
I think that's what they wanted you to believe. That's what was so good about it. And you were sort of on the schmaltzy thing, and then suddenly, hey, it's a murder mystery.
And a good one, multi-layered.
A serious one about a serial killer, and it's kind of gory. I mean, I was...
Yes, which was great because, again, this could have lost it. But
well, it cut out that sappy thing. It sort of, it was a nice compliment to that. There were a couple things I didn't like, most specifically the director who did Primal Fear, another very good thriller. Slow-mo, artsy moments. How many times does the baseball mitt have to fall, or the glass have to shed?
What it is, it's ushering in one of those time travel things. So
I guess.
Yeah, but not that we really need to know. But you see the baseball fall now and then 30 years ago. So it really kind of sets that up.
It's just a few.
But I hung on to the thriller part. That's where I was. But I also thought that the father-son thing was pretty cool, and that does not get enough press. It was done with some dignity.
Yeah.
You do not get the father-son.
And especially on Dennis Quaid's part, very, very good father-son bond. Lots of love for the kid.
It's iffy, though, because Quaid looks a lot like Kevin Costner, which just, radiates schmaltz to me. So fortunately, they made it work.
All right. Well, I was so pleasantly surprised that I'm giving this 3.5 stubs. Really, really liked it.
I was on board except for that first hour, so 3 for me. Always wanted to go to Rio, sit on those pristine beaches, get swept up in that romantic Latin energy. Director Bruno Barreto will take you on vacation in his new romantic comedy Bossanova, starring his wife, Amy Irving.
Well, let's get started then. Why don't you open to page 35 and read?
Do you prefer on the top or below?
I beg your pardon?
The reading. I should read on the top?
Oh, you mean should you stand up?
Ah, I'm sorry. Yes. Stand up. Do you prefer?
No, you're fine.
Marjorie and Jojo love romantic evenings. And romance in New York City always starts on Broadway.
If you love me, our life would be a Broadway song and dance. We'd glide along where dreams come true on a glide.
I have a feeling that you think this was like a bad Love American Style episode, but I would like to defend this. And maybe you liked it, but I thought it was like those sort of romantic comedies, those silly, slapsticky romantic comedies of the early 60s, you know, with Doris Day, and I kind of got into this.
If you like that kind of thing.
Okay.
This had that Euro schmaltz thing about it, which really is a genre. You know, it's the happy, it's the perky, it's the overly not even.
Yeah.
I mean, the overly enunciated foreign language, like that we saw in the clip. The guy who you say looks like Cary Grant. I just found him so fluffy and perky and
I think
kind of soulless in a way.
It's a cultural thing, though. See, I did think that bit of overacting was very much sort of a South American thing, but there's something I really enjoyed about this because we don't get to see movies like this anymore. We don't see that kind of 60s schmaltzy because it doesn't play. Now, I happen to know this movie is bombing in the city. Okay?
Yeah, understood. Well, I mean, it's going to bomb in the city, but it's not hip and cynical and it's got no edge.
I know.
Okay, now, not that movies have to be hip and cynical and have an edge to be good, because, you know, I could cite a bunch of examples of favorite movies that don't have those qualities.
I know.
But this one, I mean, it just, can I say, as it sounds unprofessional for me to say as a critic, it's just not for me. I mean, it's just,
no,
there are, I mean, you're bringing out some things that may work for some people. I could see it as sort of like, you know, the gals getting together and going out and, you
Plus
know.
the comedy of errors at the end, and that's where I'm talking about the 60s, that whole slapsticky thing, the mistaken identity. She thinks she's me, and he thinks she still loves her, and so I'm going to go off with her, but, you know, and that was kind of silly. What is Stephen Tobolowsky doing in this movie? How did he get in a Bruno Beretta? Now, Amy Irving's married to Bruno Beretta, so we know how she got here, but what's he doing in this? I mean, it seemed kind of strange.
It does have that screwballish quality. For example, when she meets the Greenwich Village artist on the internet and they become lovers over the internet, and it turns out he's just like some dorky insurance salesman guy. And so that was kind of funny. There was some wackiness. I'm not finding this contemptible. I did not feel manipulated by it, but this was just sort of a loftiness that, you know, I did not.
All right. Well, I just got into it, and I like that whole smooth Bossanova essence. So I'm giving it 3 ticket stubs.
All right. Well, I'm giving it 2.
Remember those sword and sandals epics of the 1950s and 60s? Director Ridley Scott does. He's throwing the biggest toga party of all, and it's called Gladiator.
Your fame is well-deserved, Spaniard. I don't think there's ever been a gladiator to match you. As for this young man, he insists you are Hector reborn. Or was it Hercules? Why doesn't the hero reveal himself and tell us all your real name? You do have a name.
My name is Gladiator.
How dare you show your back to me? Slave! You will remove your helmet and tell me your name.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Gene, I ask you, in my best Manhattan accent, what's not to love? Okay.
I can barely speak just from the clip.
Well, that's a good sign.
I am so, okay.
Smitten by the clip. Okay, now we got Russell Crowe just doing the old school, the supporting actors, the plot. Let's talk about Ridley Scott. I'm just throwing it all out here. Ridley Scott, the look and feel.
Do we have an hour?
Yeah.
Ridley Scott is the man, okay? He takes a Roman ruin and he builds it up. Okay, he didn't, but it's his vision. It makes it a big coliseum and he fills it with gladiators and whoosh,
you've got the big picture, you've got the Russell Crowe, you've got the Joaquin Phoenix, but can I just focus on one little thing? This was the best depiction of the afterlife. It just blew me away. I mean, it's like, I'm an agnostic, man, existentialist, but this just like, wow. Afterlife, what a beautiful concept. What a good thing to live for.
And you know what I loved? Okay, the star here is the fighting. And there's so many different battles and they're all beautifully choreographed. And let's get Russell Crowe. But they did just enough background, political intrigue, the whole incest thing, the politics of the time with the Senate, just enough. Unlike a film like Elizabeth, where it was all politics and you're so confused, just enough foundation for the fighting to really take
I saw it a little
stage.
different. I saw it more of a balance because I really saw what was happening in the Roman Empire. I thought it was kind of a cool history lesson.
Good thing.
The whole institution of the gladiators, balance, and Crowe's quest to get back to the farm to be a normal guy. Now, can I kind of take it a sidestep? Say he's kind of like Saving Private Ryan, just a normal guy stuck in a bad situation.
I call him a Spanish Roman William Wallace, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you like that.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
But for me, the big hit of the movie trumps all, Joaquin Phoenix. Over the top of Russell Crowe, who looks straight and clean compared to Joaquin Phoenix's like sinister,
and the
humorless.
whole incest thing. He has that freaky incest thing going with his sister, which is so well done because it's forbidden and it never happens, but he's just lusting and he's in pain and
Okay, try this. Joaquin Phoenix was Alan Rickman to Bruce Willis's, in Die Hard.
Oh, right,
so
right.
It's like, so was it the bad guys are always better? They're more interesting.
Oh, I absolutely, and I went in with high expectations, the highest expectations, and I was wowed from the opening scene, which was very Saving Private Ryan, that opening battle scene, all the way through 2 hours and 45 minutes.
But the Saving Private Ryan is like the normal guy trying to get just back to his family, pure mission. No cheesy love interest.
Oh, I know.
Very
Hello.
cool.
And wife meets a bitter end.
Let me guess. I'm going to give this 4 stubs. How about you, Gene?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'll give it 4 as well.
Well, stick around. Hey, actually pull out your air guitar because we're going to talk about our favorite rockumentaries. On June 3rd, nearly 3,000 cyclists will leave San Francisco for Los Angeles. California AIDS Ride 7. A 7-day journey to fight AIDS. You can tap into the excitement and help kick off the journey. Volunteer help is needed in San Francisco Day 0 and Day 1 of the ride. Work with the AIDS Ride staff to ensure a safe and fun ride. Be a part of the biggest AIDS fundraiser ever. California AIDS Ride 7. Okay, I confess, I am a child of the 70s, and that's where the rockumentary genre really came into its own. We had Woodstock, we had Hendrix movie, we had Pink Floyd, Alive in Greece, all kinds of movies that you would see late night at the University Theater in Cambridge, where I came from. So I have a strong background in these, and I know that actually, Gene is a big favorite of a couple of these. So Gene, why don't you start talking about it?
All right, this is your baby, and I can't wait to just like ride on the wave of your enthusiasm. My, of course, favorite is Woodstock. They re-released a like 220-minute version, but this was my time. Okay, 1969, and my first date was to Woodstock.
All right,
I'll tell you that
some
off
history.
camera. Yeah,
Cool.
but it's just a classic documentary about 3 or 4 days in history that could never be repeated. In fact, failed miserably when they tried to recreate it. But it's just it's about the music, it's about the people coming together, a big love-in. Anyway,
The film
love it.
itself was, of course, edited by Martin Scorsese.
That's right.
So
1970 won a documentary Best Oscar Award. Or
right, very,
Best
very
documentary.
cool. I'll get right out of the genre. Actually, no, I'll back up a little bit. We did this, The Filth and the Fury. There are several other punk documentaries that capture the essence of the era very nicely. One's by Penelope Spheris. It's called Decline of Western Civilization. She actually did Wayne's World and whatnot. And then there's the original Sex Pistols movie, which is very hard to come by. It's called, it's actually called the Great Rock and Roll Swindle. That's right, which is Malcolm McClurk's putting this whole joke of a band together and scaring things up. Very funny, very festive, very celebratory of the era. You got another, Gene?
I have one more. I have my little two.
Okay.
And we've talked about it many times, on camera, off camera. This is Spinal Tap. Talk about, well,
parodies the genre.
Yeah, it parodies the whole rock thing, the heavy metal thing, and it's about the world's loudest heavy metal band and their fateful tour. And this is the best. It's a spoof, and it's like Christopher Guest went on to make Waiting for Guffman, another famous like spoof of ours, but it was directed by Rob Reiner. Wonderful, wonderful movie. This is one of my favorite. I guess it's not really a rockumentary. It's a spoof.
Right. But I mean, these rockumentaries have the same formula. It's all leading up to the big show or whatnot,
right,
the big event. I mean, there's a Jimi Hendrix movie, a great window into that era with Clapton and Townsend. Beatles, the breakup of the Beatles and Let It Be, Sympathy for the Devil, everything that went wrong with the Rolling Stones at Altamont. My favorite, though, in terms of actual documentary work, is a film by Michael Apted called Bring on the Night. It was just because it brilliantly shows what an arrogant, pompous jerk Sting is. Yeah. He rents his little villa on the south of France for this concert, and he's like, what a jerk. But I mean, Michael Apted is the craftsman.
Oh, he's the man, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
So let's wrap it up.
Okay. Dinosaur. Josh and I agree. It has great computer graphics, but the script is really lacking. It's 3 ticket stubs from me and 2 from Josh.
I'm a diehard Sex Pistols fan, and Gene is kind of new to the fray, but we both loved the documentary Filth and the Fury. I gave it 4. Gene gave it 4.
Frequency. It turned out to be a pleasant surprise for both of us. It's 3.5 ticket stubs from me and 3 from Josh.
Bossanova. Gene really appreciated the flashback to the screwball romantic comedies of the early 60s, and for me, it left me a little shallow. I gave it 2. Gene gave it 3.
Gladiator. We would have liked an hour to rave on about the best summer blockbuster for so far this year. It's my hot ticket, and it's Josh's as well.
That wraps it up for another edition of The Real Review.
Join us next time when we'll be reviewing Mission Impossible, starring Tom Cruise and directed by John Woo. I'm Gene Offmuth.
I'm Josh Wallace.
See you next time.